محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي وفقنا بمحبته لا مأمون مغفرته ولا مستنكف عن عبادته، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله نبينا الكرام أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وصحبه أجمعين.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from whose mercy no one loses hope, and from his bounty no one is deprived. His forgiveness disappoints no one, and he deserves to be worshipped by everyone. We convey our salutation and greeting to the Holy Prophet of Islam and his pure progenies and righteous disciples. Sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ibadullah, awsikum wa iyai bitaqwa Allah. قال الإمام الحسن عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن الله جعل شهر رمضان مضمارا لخلقه فيستبقون فيه بطاعته إلى مرضاته، فسبق قوم ففازوا وقصر آخرون فخابوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed the month of Ramadan to be an opportunity, an opportune moment for people to compete with each other for gaining his pleasure through submission to his command. By the end of the month, some people will succeed by rising up to the challenge, and others will fail for not taking this opportunity seriously. We start with the usual reminder. Please, again, every sermon we ask our sisters and brothers to turn the cell phone off. Please turn it off. And refrain from conversation during the sermon. I know some people have got into this habit that as soon as they come to the center, they remember all the stories that happened to them during the last week, and they want to chat and discuss it between themselves. But during the sermon, people should listen rather than talk. And as well as people, if they want to offer prayer, if they can refrain from doing so until the after, that will be even better. There are a number of issues that have happened during the past week. As I indicated during my last sermon, the drums of war is being sounded, and the situation in the Middle East is extremely volatile, and the climate is charged and tense. One small spark could lead to huge disaster. Let's pray that inshallah it will not happen. During the week also was the anniversary of Am al-Huzn, in which the Holy Prophet lost two of his most loved one and ardent supporter. His beloved wife, al-Mu'mineen Khadija, as well as his uncle, Abu Talib, within a short distance from each other. It was the Holy Prophet who called that year Am al-Huzn, the year of grief. We also have the anniversary of Palestinian Nakba, the 71st anniversary of Nakba, which the Palestinians were uprooted from their lands to make space for Zionist state. We really need to remember these. And in a couple of days from now, we have the anniversary of the birth of our second Imam, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. So within these various events, sad as well as happy one, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring peace and tranquility to our community. History has often reminded us that in the past events there are a number of things, lessons that we can learn. And Quran cites this. وَلَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لَأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Indeed, in the past stories, there is a lesson to be learned for those who contemplate. The story of al-Mu'mineen Khadija, Abu Talib, or the birth of Imam Hassan are no exception. What is exceptional is that when we look at the literature, there is such a huge literature, even between the two schools of thoughts, the Shias and the Sunnis, regarding al-Mu'mineen Khadija and Abu Talib, but very little or hardly anything about Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wassalam. And this is strange when we come to the Shia. When we try to write our history, we seem to be ignoring the life of Imam Hassan, and we don't pay as much attention to Imam Hassan as we pay to Imam Hussein. If you look at the literature and books and articles available about the life of Imam Hussein, so many. But when it comes to Imam Hassan, hardly anything. Even when we come to the point and write something, we talk about Thawrat al-Hussein and Sulh al-Hassan, to try to compare and contrast between what is considered to be two political stances of these two Imams. Should we follow the quietest approach, or should we follow the more active approach in dealing with injustice? What about the character of Imam Hassan? The character of Imam Hassan, that if once we pay attention to it, if there was not the approach that he took for the peace, as well as moving to Medina and laying the foundation for all the intellectual movement that came after, Shia would have been in a very poor state, physically and intellectually. What we seem to forget is that both the Imams, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, were obligated to safeguard Islam and to protect the sanctity of its institution. The hadith from the Holy Prophet, Al-Hasan wal-Hussein imaman in qamu wa in qa'adu. They are the leaders, whether they rise or whether they sit. Whether they go about their goals, achieving their goals quietly or through activism, they are all obligated to protect Islam. We saw the same kind of behavior during the life of the Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wasalam alayhi. Immediately after the demise of the Holy Prophet, to preserve Islam, read Khutbat Shakhshiqiyya. To preserve Islam, he had to remain quiet at the highest price that one could pay. And then when the time came, had to rise and challenge. For the benefit of the month of Ramadan, I don't intend to dwell into the life of Imam Hassan too much. It requires a lengthy discussion. But what I would like to do is, I have three: submit to the command of Allah and to gain His acceptance. Naturally. بقى قوم ففازوا وقصر آخرون فخابوا. Those who really rise to the challenge and understood the responsibility that this unique occasion has to be grabbed and not allowed to be missed. And they structured, as I mentioned last week, they structured and organized their lives had a goal, the goals clearly were set, and they work towards those goals, then they win. Not only during the night of power, Laylat al-Qadr or Layal al-Qadr, they can stand and say, oh Lord, help us in reorienting ourselves for next year. On the day of Eid al-Fitr, they can stand quite happily and say, yes, we have managed to change little bit. But for those who prefer Musalsalat Turkiya and the nargile late at night, instead of utilizing these precious time, and when you talk to them, this is the month of Ramadan. Oh, Maulana, we are getting tired during the day for fasting. We need some relaxation. This is not going to produce the result. On what basis are we supposed to stand on the day next week? Thursday night is going to be the night of the first Laylat al-Qadr. On what basis are we supposed to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah to change the direction of our life for the next year? As the hadith said, you missed this opportunity last week, I alluded to it. You missed this opportunity, you have missed the whole year. The Holy Prophet cited the same thing. فَإِنَّ الشَّقِيُّ مَنْ حُرِمَ غُفْرَانَ اللَّهِ فِي هَذَا الشَّهْرِ الْعَظِيمِ. The cursed, the damned one are those that this opportunity has been created and then you miss it because you are not prepared to change. You prefer the old lifestyle. Quran, Surah Al-Hashr, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. There is a hadith that says, Ya ibn Adam, put me on the top of the list of your priorities, and I will put you on the top of the list of my priorities. But put me on the lower level, I will ignore you. 11 months. We have created a lifestyle that leads nowhere. Isn't it time for us to reflect and change a little bit? Another hadith that again depicts what we are going through. عجبت لمن يفكر في مأكوله كيف لا يفكر في معقوله. I'm astounded by those who are very choosy and picky in things that they eat. It has to be organic, grass-fed. The sweet has to be top quality. The tea and coffee has to be brewed in a particular manner. And yet, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. And yet, you sit in front of the TV and watch this corrupting Turkish musalsalat that feeds poison into your spirit. Not only yourself as an adult, sometimes you bring the kids to sit in front of these TV and watch these immoral shows. عجبت لمن يفكر في مأكوله كيف لا يفكر في معقوله فيجنب بطنه ما يؤذيه ويودع صدره ما يرديه. When it comes to selecting something for their stomach, they pick the best. But when it comes something that goes into their heart and mind, they leave it open to everything that comes. Part of the month of Ramadan is to discipline ourselves to what we eat. There's the food for the thought and the food for the body. We tend to focus on one at the expense of the other. And finally, the last hadith. هلاك المرء في ثلاث. These are negative traits that we're supposed to ignore or remove from ourselves during the month of Ramadan. هلاك المرء في ثلاث. الكبر والحرص والحسد. Arrogance, greed, and envy and jealousy. ففي الكبر هلاك الدين وبه لعن إبليس. The first mutakabbir, an arrogant person, is Iblis. When the command comes, why didn't you submit and prostrated in front of Adam? What did he say? أنا خير منه خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. I am better than he is. I have been created from fire, and he's been created from clay. Al-Kibr. فَفِيهِ هَلَاكُ الدِّينِ. Your faith eats through your faith. وَالْحِرْص عَدُوُّ النَّفْسِ وَبِهِ خَرَجَ آدَمْ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ. Greed is something that destroys people. Your soul. Prophet Adam and Eve, they were moved out of heaven because of greed. The command comes, don't touch. I'm curious to find out. And the consequence is the mess that we are in here. Otherwise, things would have been different. Wal-hasad. Hasad, envy, is going to, and jealousy is going to destroy your soul the same way that Qabil and Habil. Alaykum salam. It pushes you towards doing bad deeds. Al-hasad. The month of Ramadan, according to a number of ahadith, is a month that considered to be Jihadul Akbar. It's the jihad, the strongest and the most difficult jihad that we have to go through. All the negative traits that we have gained during the past year, we have to detach them one by one. From ghiba to tuhma, to arrogance, to greed, to envy, to jealousy, everything. To lie, to deceit. One by one has to be removed. It requires action, requires planning. I said it last week. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah salamu alayhi in a wasiyah to Imam Hassan, Allah fi nadhm amrikum. Any plan, any goal cannot be reached unless you have a plan for it. I want to be the best, and I'm not making the effort. You stay where you are. Remember, most of you are familiar with personal trainers when you go to the exercises and so on. The personal trainer will ask you first, where do you want to be? Well, I want to be the best tennis player in the world. And I don't know how to hold the racket in my hand. Start by teaching you how to hold the racket. There is no quantum leap. During the month, step by step, we have to go through it. Jihad al-Akbar. May Allah help us to achieve all the goals that we have set for ourselves during this month, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Al-Asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوب إليه من سيئات أعمالنا. ثم الصلاة والتحية والإكرام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. مولانا الجليل، أخواتي وإخواني الأعزاء، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عباد الله,